Welcome to the Onion Buns. So, welcome to this week's edition of Lefties Lying. I'm going to continue to go down the rabbit hole that is Mark Carney. He is the gift that keeps on giving. And yeah, I told you about Brookfield. I've told you about building pipelines in Saudi in the Middle East. I've told you about selling coal to China, but American coal, all the while blocking Canada from building pipelines here to get our products to market, shutting down the coal industry in Canada because it's bad for the environment. Apparently, American coal is really great for the environment, especially when it's sold to China. But when it's done in Canada, no. That's bad. That's bad. But before we get to all that, if you like the content I'm making, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel, and liking and subscribing is the easiest way to grow the channel. Also, if you like the content, please share it. Just share the video. People who are interested can take a look. If they're not interested, they don't. It's no harm, no foul. Ultra easy. Takes 2 seconds. Done. Boom. So anyway, yeah, we got Mark Carney. His blind trust is really coming under attack because once again, he's terrified, absolutely terrified that the public will learn of his conflicts of interest, what he has lied about, hence why he's on Lefties Lying, and probably why he'll be a main contributor until the day he quits politics, because this guy can't help himself. Everything he does, everything he says is a lie, or at a minimum, a manipulation. You know, he can't just come out and answer a question, ever. Like, you never see him just answer the question. So anyway, in this first clip, surprisingly enough, Global, who carry water for the Liberals and the NDP here in Canada, but they're going on about his blind trusts, and you just watch the video and you decide for yourself. I'm not going to try to upsell it to you. So here we go.
Well, what he doesn't tell us is how much he's worth. Yeah. I mean, that's really the question here. Are you worth $10 million, $20 million, $50 million? We have no idea. Who is the person who's running the blind trust? Is it your brother? Is it, I mean, if you're having an independent person who's supposed to take care of the blind trust, that person should be independent and far removed from Mr. Carney's assets. We don't know who that is. Is he requiring to sell all the stocks, which apparently you're supposed to, but has he sold all the stocks and his investments in anything that may put him in a conflict with the government? Those are things that he needs to answer to Canadians, and he doesn't want to answer those questions. And you said he was a little testy. He does not like tough questions from journalists. He's used to a more compliant financial press when he was a central banker, and they're very much respectful of him. Well, we're political reporters. We have an obligation to ask the tough questions. And that's something we're going to have to watch for during the campaign, is when he gets angry or annoyed or arrogant at journalists for pressing him on issues that he doesn't want to answer.
1,000% true. Bob Byte, who is speaking, is 1,000% true on this. And I've pointed this out to you in numerous videos. The point where Carney gets angry when people push back, be it Poilievre pushing back. I recently shared a video where Carney, he lost his shit and he just started attacking Poilievre, trying to tell Poilievre what his job was and what it is. And when Poilievre pushed back, you could see the frustration growing on Carney to the point that one of Liberal backbenchers in the same committee, "Oh, Madam Chairperson, this is so unfair." It was ridiculous. But yeah, he hates when reporters push back. And up till now, reporters have not pushed back because up till now, it's always been the CBC and the CTV. He bans all the other outlets. There's videos, I haven't shown them, but you can look them up. There's thousands of videos where he will not let people signed up to enter his 20, 30 person campaign rallies into the building because apparently they're associated or they said something that he didn't like online, and yeah, he just bans them. So the guy is a walking liar. It's that simple. Whenever he speaks, he lies. His actions tell you he's lying. His body language tells you he's lying. This is who Mark Carney is. He is a liar. So anyway, that was the first clip. Let's get on to the next. So here's my biggest issue with the CBC, otherwise known as the Liberal Propaganda Wing. Mark Carney, we all know he's refused to follow the spirit of the rules. He instead went with the letter of the rules, knowing full well that the letter of rules was not written for exactly his position. So he manipulated the system, and yeah, we get that. It's ironic that Trump did the same thing in the States, and the CBC and the CTV and MSNBC and CNN. Oh my God, they were losing their frickin' minds. They were screaming about Trump doing this. But now that Carney's doing the exact same thing, oh, well, it's okay. It's understandable. So anyway, Carney yesterday announced he's putting all of his assets into a blind trust, which again, it's not disclosing his conflicts. And that's what we need to see is, like, imagine this. And this isn't a big stretch with the conflicts that we already know about Carney. Is he representing Canada, or is he still representing his business partners, even though his stuff is in a blind trust? He's still making money off of that stuff. So is he going to give special privileges to all his business partners at the expense of Canada? This is what we need to know. And this is exactly what Carney doesn't want to show us. And for good reason. But even the media that's paid by the Liberals is starting to question this. So I have a clip from the CBC. The one guy is saying this is not good enough. But even here you see the CBC guy, the bald guy, trying to make excuses, like he's carrying water as best he can without becoming so obviously transparently corrupt that he can be called on it. But if you pay attention, you can see he is trying his damnedest to minimize what's being said. Take a look.
Well, we have to see what's in this declaration, of course. I mean, he has probably a lot of assets, and we have to see if it's really a true blind trust or what is been called in the past a Venetian blind trust, where you can peek through the window and depending on who controls it, who is in charge of what. And, you know, we all remember Bill Morneau, Minister of Finance. He had this ironclad blind trust. He put all his assets in the blind trust. He forgot about the villa in Provence that he owned. You know, it just slipped off the radar.
Well, he forgot to declare that the ownership of the villa in France was through a company rather than held personally.
Sure.
He forgot. Here we go. This guy, if you watch any clip with this guy, he will go right to the edge of making excuses for the Liberals every single time on every single topic. Like, he knows who's paying his wage, and he will go as far as he can to make excuses without stepping over that edge so that he can actually be censored for it.
Sure. Right. My point is the ethics commissioner does have a responsibility. They'll go through it. Sure. They have to declare it. You know, Mr. Carney probably should have been on this earlier for his own campaign's sake, because for the first, 2 or 3 weeks of the campaign, he was having to face these questions about what does he own, what influence is he under. So we need to see that information. It has to be made public. It will be made public, and the Canadian people will be the judge of that. It'll be likely happening, though, in an election campaign, which could be either a positive for him or could be a negative if it's unclear.
Okay, so it's already been made public. We already know what his conflicts are. It's net zero. He built pipelines in Saudi while he blocked pipelines in Canada. He sold China American coal while he blocked Canadian coal. We know what his conflicts are. It's already been exposed. It's just the media, the mainstream media, will not talk on it. They refuse to talk on it. They refuse to bring its corruption to the light of day. Oh, and he tore down 22,000 kilometers of Brazilian Amazon rainforest for a few $1 million and displaced natives out of their natural home. And yeah, but he's an environmentalist. Really, he is. Yeah, sure. And if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. So we know what his conflicts are, but the mainstream media will not call him on it. And that's the problem, because far too many people only get their news from the mainstream media, and they just accept what the mainstream media is saying blindly. That's why Elizabeth May recently came out and said, well, we need to get rid of social media, but we can't censor it because censoring is a bad word. So instead, if we disagree what you're saying, we'll just sue you into bankruptcy so you go away. So it's censorship. Same, different method, same result. It's censorship because they don't like what's being said on social media. So we need the mainstream media to stop carrying water for the Liberals. But the only way that happens is if we get a new government that cuts off the slush funds and the billions of dollars to the CBC. It just cuts it off and says, no, if you run your company, you run it on your own. You run it to make a profit. So it's in their best interest to report all of the news, not just the selected approved news from the Liberals, the NDPs, and the Greens. And that's really what this is about. Carney is betting that by putting it into a blind trust, the CBC, the CTV, the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Red Star, and all of their affiliates will not look into it. They will not report on it. Therefore, a bulk of, especially older people, will not learn about it. I have this conversation daily with my mother. She's 87 and she only watches CBC and CTV because she claims that's all she can get. But really, it's just because she's very old and she doesn't understand technology. So she doesn't look at YouTube, even though I've set it up for her. She doesn't look online. She just gets her news from these two sources. So it's a daily conversation with her of like, oh, I thought Mark Carney was good. And I'll be like, no, Mom, he's done this, he's done this, he's done this, he's done this. Oh, well, how come they're not telling me about this? Because they're not paid to tell you about this, Mom. Oh. And then the next day we're back to this. So that's what the Liberals, Carney, and to a lesser extent, Jugmeat and Elizabeth I Fall Down Nightly Mail are counting on. That the voters will be so uninformed, they won't know any better. And the only way we're going to fix that is to get rid of the Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens. That's literally the only way. You know, the more Pierre Poilievre talks, the more I like him. It's just straightforward talk. I get so tired of the word salad that the left constantly uses. And, you know, on Fridays, I make the whole video stream of well, sorta, and the premiere-ish episode is my top video because that's what the video was some Liberal just butchering the Canadian language. So I do have another video of Carney doing that, but that's for one of the Friday videos. But so yeah, I love listening to Poilievre talk because he tells you the truth. The left hates hearing it and they don't want to accept it, but it's truth, it's factual. So here we got Poilievre talking and he's telling you some hard truths again. And I'm sure the lefties, their minds are going to blow what's left of their minds anyway. But yeah, he's just tells you as it is. So let's take a listen.
How concerned are you about the integrity of Carney's mandate?
First of all, Mr. Carney has no mandate. He has not been elected by the Canadian people. He's been installed by the Liberal establishment and Justin Trudeau's insiders. They prevented people from debating him. They've been hiding from the media because every time he answers questions, he gets caught in lies or says incredibly idiotic things. As for the Liberal leadership result, those numbers are either just pathetically low because Canadians did not want to vote for a weak, conflicted Mark Carney who had sold out the country by moving jobs and money out of Canada, or they show something more suspicious. But unfortunately, I don't have all the details. All I can say is that is a very small number of people that voted in the Liberal leadership race, much smaller than in ours. We excited people.
What Poilievre's talking about here is 400,000 people signed up to vote in the Liberal leadership debate or Liberal leadership. 251,000 of those people were disqualified on voting day. No reason has been given why. We don't know why. There's lots of speculation and, you know, tinfoil hat theories, but we don't know why. The Liberals have never told us why all those people were disqualified. So Carney was elected on 100 250,000 votes. That's it. That's all that voted in the Liberal leadership. That's lower than frickin' NDP numbers. That's down in the area of Green numbers. So yeah, my personal opinion, and this is only opinion, but my personal opinion is the Liberals were so determined to anoint Carney that they disqualified any voter they thought might not vote for Carney. And so you had, even though I hate her, Christina Freeland, like she got so few votes in her hometown. The people that had actually elected her, according to this Liberal leadership poll, nobody in her home riding voted for her. I find that very suspect. Same for Katrina Gould. I don't like her policies, but yeah, a few hundred votes? No, she got more than a few hundred votes. So yeah, the Liberal leadership was highly contested. So anyway, that was Pierre Poilievre talking about Carney lying, about the Liberal leadership lying. The simple truth is with Mark Carney, none of the numbers add up. They just don't. It's simple math and they don't add up. It's a dog and a pony show. It's just like the fake polls they keep putting out. You got 4 pollsters that are paid by the Liberal Party, and magically those 4 pollsters all have the Liberals neck and neck or beating the Conservatives. And then you have like 15, 20 other pollsters that aren't paid by the Liberals, and they all have the Conservatives 10 to 15 points ahead. Yeah, it's not hard to see what's going on. So anyway, that was that. Let's move on. All right, here we have, no, I'm not going to call him Prime Minister. I can't do it. Here we have Liberal leader Mark Carney. He's doing exactly what he was doing when he was on the campaign trail for Liberal leadership. He's not talking to media. He's not answering the questions. He's avoiding them. And I guess now that he's been anointed the Liberal leader, nothing's changed. It's same old, same old. So yeah, that's just a short little clip. But what I did find very interesting is in the write-up, they said he had his handlers even inform the media to shut off the sound when he was talking to people. So with Mark Carney's reputation now, and it's a reputation, it's proven, it's factual, of being a pathological liar, it's clear he doesn't want anyone hearing what he's saying. Why is he so scared of being on the record? Man, he was probably telling them more lies. It doesn't look like he had much of a... That's the other thing is like the media keeps trying to say, oh, he's having these great turnouts. Poilievre had 2,500 people show up for his rally in London, Ontario, the same night as the Liberal leadership went down, and the Liberal leadership had less than 200 people in attendance. So, right there you tell what the general public's interest is. But yeah, we see this time and time again with Carney's stumps. He's got like 20 people, 10 people, 15 people. It's just very, very small little crowds. He doesn't have this grassroots of following like the media keeps trying to claim he does. Hey all, I just have to make a clarification on this last video that you just watched now. This was Carney at the steel factory in Sudbury, which really doesn't make a lot of sense, as Carney was on the record just a couple weeks ago saying he was going to tax the bejesus out of steel and aluminum in Canada because, and I quote, who even uses steel anymore? Who uses it? What's it used for? Nobody uses it. So anyway, this was a photo op that he did at a steel factory, which, I mean, come on, the arrogance and the egotistical obnoxiousness of him going there after saying that. But apparently the steel workers refused to be on camera with him. They all flat out refused. So what happened is he dressed up 5 Liberal members. Katrina Gould was there and a couple other known Liberal backbenchers and cabinet members, put hard hats on them, put them in an orange jumpsuit, and put them behind them to give the impression that the steel workers were supporting them. Again, the steel workers flat out refused to be on camera with them. No pictures, no camera, nothing. That is how well his photo op really went. I just wanted to clarify that because I didn't know this when I made that particular video clip. So I'm just updating it for transparency's sake, because as I've said all along, the one thing I want to do with my YouTube channel is be transparent. So there you go. Anyway, let's move on. Alrighty, so to finish off Lefties lying this week, we're going to continue down the road of Carney refusing to talk about his blind trust, refusing to be transparent, refusing, trying to change the topic. As you've seen in the previous clips, there's some real concerns about his blind trust, but he won't answer those questions. He's trying to hide it. I've told you time and time again, he is terrified of his conflicts of interest being exposed. And he has done everything since day one to avoid that happening. And this is just more of the same. It's more lies from him as he tries to manipulate the topic into his own favor. And that, let's be honest, that's all Mark Carney does. That's all he is. He's got nothing else. You have not heard anything about policy from Mark Carney because Mark Carney doesn't talk about policy. Now, even the carbon tax. He pretended to cut the carbon tax, but he didn't actually cut it. He suspended it. The legislation is still on the books, and God forbid if he's elected, that carbon tax is coming back, and it's coming back much higher. Because Carney loves his carbon tax. I showed a video. Go look at it. Yesterday's video, Carney loves his carbon tax. He thinks it's the greatest thing on face of the earth. So the only thing he's mad about the carbon tax is that the old carbon tax, we knew how much he was charging on the consumer level. We've never known how much he's charging behind the scenes. And I've always had this argument with my left-leaning friends where they try to sell it as the consumer carbon tax was one carbon tax. And I kept telling them, no, it's three. They carbon tax them when they pull the resources out of the ground. Then they carbon tax them when they manufacture the resources. And then they carbon tax us at the pumps. Well, guess what? Those carbon taxes, when they pull it out of the ground and when they refine it, all those taxes get put onto us. So we're paying three carbon taxes. Just because he suspended one portion, we still got two more portions. The carbon tax was not 17 cents. The carbon tax is closer to 50 cents a liter in gas. So yeah, this is just the lie that the Liberals keep telling. But anyway, here's Carney talking. He's asked about his blind trust. He's asked to be transparent, and you can see his answer.
Question. Next one. Hi, Prime Minister Carney. I'm Jillian Piper with Global News. I understand that your assets have been put into a blind trust. I wanted to ask you, what is the value of the assets and where did they come from? How can Canadians know that there's no conflict of interest if they don't know where the assets come from?
That's an odd question, or odd way of framing it. The assets are in a blind trust. So, and can I point out that for those who don't follow this, I have 6 months to put, or 120 days to put the assets in a blind trust. I already have put the asset.
Okay, here's Carney's math. 6 months and 120 days. Well, 120 days is 4 months. I mean, I didn't even have to look at a calendar to know that. 30 days a month multiplied by 4, you get 120 days. He seems to think it's 6 months. I know people are going to think I'm nitpicking on this, but if he can't get such a simple thing correct, like we're talking grade 3 math here, then how the hell is he supposed to do Canadian finances? Maybe that's why him and Justin doubled the deficit in 5 short years. You know, that kind of explains it all, doesn't it?
That's in a blind trust. And once assets are in a blind trust, you don't know that, by definition, you don't know the assets because.
Oh, what a load of fucking crap. He's trying to tell you he doesn't know what's in his portfolio. That is exactly what he just said. Once you put him in a blind trust, you don't know what you're invested in. What a load of horse manure.
Because the trustees take over the responsibility. I would like to reassure you that the assets that I have were earned through employment.
When you hear somebody doing this and look at him fidgeting on the paper, he's lying. And he knows he's lying. And he's trying to drag it out. He hasn't answered the question still, but it's It's like a cheap rap song.
Income, employment as a public servant, and employment in the private sector. And I would note as well that employment in the private sector is something that the leader of the opposition has never experienced.
And here we go again. Every single time Mark Carney gets flustered, aggravated, annoyed at a reporter asking him a question or another politician asking him a question, he instantly resorts to name calling against Poilievre. Well, okay, Poilievre hasn't worked in the private industry. He's been in politics for 20 years. He's worked with some of the most successful prime ministers of our lifetime. Or my lifetime, anyway. Carney, he keeps telling you he's not a politician, even though he's been in politics for 5 years under Justin Trudeau. I'm not a politician. No, you're a fucking liar, buddy. I would rather have a career politician tell me the truth than some worldly mocked businessman, and he is mocked. Just go read the headlines out of the UK over him. It seems like every day they're calling him out for more and more shit. And I would rather have a 20-year politician tell me the truth than a corrupt businessman tell me a lie. And yeah, so anyway, that's all I have for you today. I can only take so much Mark Carney before I want to go vomit. So if you like my video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel, and liking and subscribing is the easiest way. If you didn't like the video, leave a dislike. If you want to leave a comment, please leave a comment. Don't worry, I don't swing my cane too strongly anymore if I dislike your comment. So, and as always, pew 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Bye.